Use a 5-gallon bucket. That's a 1 bag. So the first thing you do is you got to have a barrel for your water. And in order to increase your working time, what you want to have is chilled water or ice water. We're not going to do that today because we're going to just try to knock this out real quick and get it down. But if you're doing a big job, or if it is real hot outside or something, or in the building, what you do is you just take, I think that's a 50-gallon drum. You take probably about 30 pounds of ice in the bag. Don't take it out of the bag. Throw them in the barrel. Fill the barrel with water. That way you won't have ice floating in the water, but you'll chill the water down. And that will give you extra working time. Joe will go over the RapidSet cement, what we are and how we're made, and then you'll know more about why it's temperature sensitive. Okay, so now you got your barrel. Put a couple of boards or something across the barrel where you can rest a bucket on it. So if this were your barrel, you're going to rest a bucket on it. You figure out what your bag mix is going to be. Are you going to mix 2 bags at a time, 4 bags at a time like we are, or 5 bags, which the HIPPO will hold? And you take, if you're going to mix more than 3 bags at a time, I find that it's easier if you make a bucket that's measured for half the amount of water you want. So you use 2 times the water, otherwise you can get a lot of weight and stuff. You weigh your water out, and then you mark your bucket and you cut a little notch in it. Everybody see that notch in it? And that way you dump it in, you push your bucket into your barrel of water, you set it on those boards you got on there. The extra water that's in here is going to run out, and every batch will have the same amount of water. If you're doing this natural, you could be just a little bit off on the water and it might not make a lot of difference. If you have color in it and you're off on the water, it's going to change the color. So that part is real critical. You want to make these buckets so that every batch has the same amount of water in it. And you always want to have one guy adding the water to the mixer, be it the bucket or the HIPPO. Not that 2 guys are doing it. One guy throws 1 bucket in, the other guy throws another bucket in. The first guy didn't see him and he throws the 3rd bucket in. Now you're way off. Okay? So the mix station set up, I'm going to give it to Brad. He's going to describe the mixer, how to use it and everything else. And then we'll finish up talking about after it's mixed, how you get it out on the floor.
We've found there's 2 kinds of helixes, and Brad will talk about the 2 kinds of helixes. We use the large helix. As you are putting bags in, that helix is designed to pull the product down, and then it comes back out, and it continues to cycle it through. So all we're doing right now is, I've got a large helix. All I'm doing is pulling air down in there right now. So once we get all the bags in there, after about a minute, we're going to stop it, and it's going to burp. So this air bubble is going to come out. The product might come out a little bit. And then while we're doing that, we'll go ahead and just scrape around the inside of the liner just to make sure that everything is completely taken off, because some of the product will push out towards the liners. We'll turn it back on, and then if you wash, you'll notice a huge difference between the way the product moved before and the way the product moves after.
And the key is, each machine is going to come with 2 paddles, like Dan said. You've got a smaller helix and a bigger one. It's designed a half batch, full batch paddle. In order for the system to work properly, your material has to be over that helix. So if you're sitting with the full bag, the big helix paddle, and you're only doing 3 bags and it's not over, it's not going to properly mix the material. So it is imperative that depending on your batch size, you be over that helix, otherwise you're going to be very irritated at the end. We have different canisters. What we found is the ones with the removable liners is the most popular, but we do have a lipped liner, or a lipped bucket as well that uses no liner, but what we found is product gets stuck under that lip. Dan, do you even really sell the lipped ones hardly at all?
We've cycled out of it. I like the new ones are nice. You want to talk about those?
Yeah, the new one of the things brought up, old liner right here has no dust port. This one has the ability to stick your hose in. So before when you're dumping in, the dust is coming up, you had someone sitting here holding a vacuum hose. So with working with Runyon, RapidSet, and that, they're always throwing ideas off us. And what we did is we incorporated a port with that. And now the new buckets that are going to be coming are going to have that same port. new bucket will handle about 6 bags. And it'll fit in the same frame. It's a 2-speed motor. Do not try to hold this motor by hand. We've had people that have taken off, tried to mix by hand with it. Too much power, you'll hurt yourself. It's just a solid 2-speed gearbox. We are still working variable speed. We just haven't gotten, for the amount of weight that this thing is going to be turning, the electronics continue to fail on a variable speed. So we are still working on that. But to give you an idea of the amount of weight, a world of concrete, we had a 5-bag mix. 250 pounds of TRU plus 50%, 300 pounds of material. And I thought they were going to kill it. The motors weren't even really getting hot in Vegas. At that point, the weak point was the paddle. Did we damage the paddle on that or not? Okay, so the durability-wise, we haven't seen a lot of these.
The only problem I've seen in the field with them is when they're trying to hook both these into one circuit and they don't have enough power, the machines don't run as fast and you're not going to get the production you normally would out.
Or you'll pop a brake.
Or you'll pop a brake. I'm sure it's not probably not good for the motor.
No, and when you're starving it, make sure you use a, we made it easy for transport. If you're going to be pouring right out of the bucket onto the floor, you don't have a long cord, make sure you're using a very a good gauge, 10 gauge, 12 gauge extension cord. Really try to limit it to 50 feet. I understand not all jobs you can do that, but the shorter and the lower the gauge extension cord is going to keep these motors running cooler. That's not it.
One other thing that we did notice with the liners, there are 2 settings on this drill. There's a, if I drop it all the way down, now the drill, the helix is actually sitting on the removable liner. If you don't catch that, you turn the drill on, you're going to drill a hole in your removable liner, all your water is going to leak through there, and then you're going to have trouble. So just want to make sure that that is set on the right setting. And before I ever start it, I always just put my hand down there just to make sure that there's space between the two. So that's we've had a couple guys call and say, I don't know what happened to all my water, but my TRU is like pancake mix. And then they get it dumped out and they realize that there's a hole in the bottom of that removable liner because their helix sat on the bottom of it and drilled a hole.